Hello, this is Ms. Marlin. We're going to learn about creating data sets and misleading graphs today. So your goal today is to create data sets given mean, median, mode, or range, any variety of those, and also to recognize misleading graphs and describe why they are misleading. So we're going to start with a simple example of creating a data set. So the first one says I have 4 values. I have a maximum of 18, a median of 12, and a range of 4. The easiest one to start with is the maximum of 18, which means we know that one has to be the biggest one. The next easiest thing to deal with is a range of 8. Well, if the max is 18, 18 minus 8 gives me a minimum of 10 because my range has to be 8. Remember, range is the max minus the min. The next thing is a median of 12. That's our very last piece of information. Now, the easiest way to do this with 4 is to just put 12 and 12. That makes a median of 12 because remember, if you have an even number, you add them and divide by 2. Another way to do it is to have 11 and 13 because the middle of those two would be 12. Both of those data sets would work. Alright, I want you to pause the video and try the next one on your own. So it says create a data set of 3 numbers where the range is 12, the max is 20, and the median is 14. This one is even easier than the last one. Again, the easiest thing to place is a max or a min. In this case, we know the max is 20. Next thing is range. Range is the maximum minus the minimum. If the range is 12, that means 20 and minus some number has to equal 12. So you're going to take 20 divide 12, which gives you 8. So that gives you a range of 12. And lastly, the median is 14. Since we only have an odd number here, median means the middle. Well, all we have is the middle number left. It has to be 14. Now we're going to get into a little bit harder ones. This one has 5 values, a median of 16, which we've done before, a mode of 24, which is pretty easy to deal with even though we haven't done it. The hardest thing is when they give you a mean of 18. So you're going to start with the numbers they give you. So median of 16 we're not going to be able to do yet. Well, actually, since we have 5 data sets, the median has to fall right in the middle. So right here is where the median is going to have to go, which means that's right where 16 has to go. To have a mode of 24, that means I need to have at least 2 numbers that are 24. I can't put it on this side of the median because I'm ordering these from smallest to largest. So since 16 is already in the middle, 24 has to go here and 24 has to go here. That gives me a mode of 24, and remember I'm ordering them from smallest to biggest. If 16 is the middle, 24 is bigger than 16, it's got to go on the right side. The hardest thing to do is a mean of 18. So I want to remind you of is, if I had some number here, oops, I don't want that, hold on. So if I had some number here, let's call it x, and some number here, y, to find the median, you would take those 5 numbers, or to find the mean, you would take those 5 numbers, add them up, and divide by how many there are, which in this case is 5. So you would write a statement out like this. 24 plus 24 plus 16 plus some number x and some number y divided by 5 better give me a mean of 18. Well, now we're going to solve this. So we're going to multiply by 5 to get rid of it on the bottom. So your next statement is going to be 80 plus x and y has to equal 90. So what I did there is I added up 24, 24, 16 to get 80. I timed by 5 on both sides to get rid of the fraction. So I'm left with some number x, some number y, plus 80 has to give me 90. So next step, I'm going to subtract 80 from both sides. And I'm left with x plus y has to equal 10. Now x and y I can't really solve for because you can pick any numbers you want there. So all you need to do is simply pick 2 numbers that add to 10. So if you wanted to pick 4 and 6, that would work. If you wanted to pick 2 and 8, that would work. The only numbers that would not work would be if you added 5 plus 5. because that would make it also have a mode of 5, and the directions say we only have a mode of 24. So the only ones that would not work is 5 and 5. So I think I'm going to pick 4, 6, 16, 24, and 24 is my final data set. Right? Now I want you to try the next one on your own and get as far as you can. The mean is the hardest, so we're going to run through that one again, but try it on your own first. Alright, so we're going to start placing the numbers we know. 5 values, a median of 20. That means it's got to go smack in the middle, so position 3. A mode of 22 means I need at least 2 of them. That's why I have 2 off to the side. And since it's bigger than 20, I have to put it on the right-hand side, because remember, I'm ordering these from smallest to biggest. So I need 2 numbers smaller than 20 that create a mean of 19 when I add all 5 of these together. So you're first going to write out some number x and y plus 20 plus 22 and 22 divided by 5 gives me a mean of 19. And some of you are probably wondering where I get this. If this number was 2 and this was 6, you would do 2 plus 6 plus 20 plus 22 plus 22 divide by 5 and you'll get your mean. But we already know the mean is 19, so we're trying to work backwards and find the number. 2 and 6 are not my numbers. Alright, so I'm going to times by 5 first on both sides. These 5's cancels because I don't want the fraction. So I end up with x plus y plus 64 equals 95. 19 times 5 is 95. 20 plus 22 plus 22 gives me my 64. Continue solving by subtracting 64. You get x plus y equals 31. So all you need to do is pick 2 numbers that add to 31. But they can't be bigger than 20 individually because 20 is my median. If I were to put numbers like 24 and 7, 24 is bigger than 20, so when I were ordering these, this should have gone way down here. I need 2 numbers that are smaller than, smaller than 20 individually. So I'm going to pick numbers like 15 and 16. That will add to 31 and create a mean of 19. One way to do this too, if you don't write this equation out, is to guess and check. So you can grab your calculators and just type. Guess 2 numbers smaller than 20, maybe you guess 14 and 15, and that gets you close to a mean of 19. Okay, but the way I like to do it is, ignore my computer clicking buttons. The way I like to do it is by just figuring out the equation, finding 2 exact values. Alright, we have 2 more examples of creating data sets. So I find x, that makes the median in this data set 30. Okay, so it looks like I have 4 numbers. They give me 3 of them, so I'm going to make 4 blanks. And whenever I make these blanks, I want to order from smallest to biggest. So 40 is my biggest one. Okay, we want to have a median of 30. So 25 has to be my smallest because 25 and 28 don't give me a median of 30. 28 is still smaller than my median. So what I'm thinking here is 30 should really be right here. But I can't have it be in my data set because I have an even number. Remember, when I'm finding the median and I have an even number, it's between the 2 middle ones. So these are my 2 middle ones, 28 and some number here. So to get to 30 from 28, I add 2. To get to the next number, that means I need to add 2 because that means it's the same on both sides. So the number that should go here is 32 because 28 and 32 smack in the middle is 30, which gives me a median of 30. Alright, pause the video and try this one on your own. So again, whenever you get this, you're going to want to draw out 4 blanks and start ordering your data. So median of 22, 29 is not going to get me that, so I'm going to put it as it's the biggest spot. 16 is not going to get me that either, so it's going to be the smallest one. And since 20 is smaller than 22, it's got to go to the left, which means I need a number when added with 20 and divided by 2 gets me a 22. So here's my middle number here I'm trying to go. And the same as last time, it's 2 away. So on this side, I have to go 2 away. So the number has to be 24. Smack in the middle of 20 and 24 is 22. All right, we'll do a few more of those in class. We're now going to move on to misleading graphs. Okay, so I'm going to show you 3 graphs that are pretty basic, and you're just going to have to tell me what's wrong with them. So this first example is about fertilizer. So I want you to look at this graph for a minute and tell me, if you were looking at this and reading it, why is this graph misleading? So what I would look at is the numbers, 82.8 for brand A, 81.9 for brand B, 83.4 for brand C, and D looks like it's humongous at 85.2. The problem is B and D, if I double B size, it equals D. So it's making it look like brand D is double in size in comparison to brand B, but in actuality they're less than 4 grams apart, which isn't much. So the scale doesn't start at 0, which makes brand D look much higher than brand B, but they really are only less than 4 grams apart, which is nothing in comparison to what the graph shows you. So people that might want to use this graph is the sellers of brand D because they want their brand to look much better. However, they would be misleading their customers because it doesn't actually work out that way. Right, graph 2, I want you to pause it and look at it and see if you can tell me what's wrong. Again, the same as the last one. Gas starts at $1.10 and goes to $1.43. It makes it look like it's such a huge gap from $1.08 to $1.24, but in actuality it's really not that much. So my consensus was the gas prices look like they skyrocketed, but they only changed by 35 cents. Again, you have to check your scale. It starts at $1, which makes it look huge in comparison to what it actually is. The last one is a circle graph, and what you always want to check for circle graphs is that sectors must add to 100%. If you have a full circle and you're doing percentages, it has to add to 100%. If I look around this one, I have 10 plus 5 is 15, plus 25 gives me 40, plus 20 gives me 60. That is nowhere near adding to 100%. It's misleading because if I look at road maintenance, the green section, it looks like it's over half the budget, but really it's only 25%. So this graph is not accurate whatsoever. Right? And the last thing we're going to look at is how you can collect data, and it can be misleading. So we've seen graphs that are misleading. The last thing is how you can collect data. We have something called a random sample, which means members of a group being surveyed have an equal chance of being selected. You want to be careful as to who you pick for your sample, though. So I want you to read through this first example and see if you can explain why it's misleading. So a study of 5 households found the following number of pets per household: 2, 1, 1, 9, and 2. Explain why the following statement is misleading. The average household has 3 pets. Now you guys are probably wondering, well, that sounds good. Okay, but if we only picked 5 households and every single one of them had pets, and you say the average household had 3 pets, I doubt that's true. If you started to pick 30 households, you'd probably get a lot of people that don't have any pets. So you're going to find that the bigger your sample, the more accurate it is. If we have a sample that's only 5 households and we're trying to generalize that to all households, it's not going to be accurate. So you want to pick a large enough sample. Okay. The last one, I want you to read this one and see if you can come to a common consensus as to why this sample might not be accurate. So a researcher asked 4 people if they have seasonal allergies. 3 people respond yes. Explain why the following statement is misleading. 75% of people have seasonal allergies. Well, 75% of the 4 people asked do, but again, you want to make sure your sample size is large enough. We're going to continue talking about this as well and talk about who we sample, not only how many we sample is important. But for tonight, try the on your own, and I will see you tomorrow.